Just one session like that will change the way you're sailing, will improve the way you're sailing, will therefore improve the transforms the capabilities and the performance of your boat. So a very simple upgrade that you can do.
Just to be able to experience what a boat can actually handle is just a phenomenal experience. And as a result, when I go out sailing myself.
And that's a typical example of the best communication on board, when everybody's having a nice snooze together after a hard days of racing. Tough, but it also can be a lot of fun. Good evening, everybody. As you can see, I am sitting on a yacht giving this presentation as I've just finished a course going down from London to the Medway and back to London. And the topic of this evening is from cruising to racing, why every sailor should try the starting line. I'll quickly introduce myself. I am a yachtmaster instructor. I'm also a ocean yachtmaster. I've been a pro since 2019. I've been a racer, international racer, since 1982. Yes, I am quite old. And I love both racing and cruising. And I think this topic is quite opportune, as sometimes people can learn a few new skills if they do a little bit of racing.
Excellent. And my name is Niels. Very nice to meet you all. I'm normally based in London. I'm currently in the Netherlands with my in-laws. I'm relatively new to sailing, contrary to Thomas. I got into sailing about 5 years ago, so very much sympathize with the shoes that many of you will be in right now. I recently completed my Yachtmaster Coastal, and I'll talk a bit about the impact of racing on my sailing cruising life later on in the presentation. But thrilled to be here, and thank you, Charlie and Charlie, for the opportunity to present tonight.
Yeah, just a little side note, gents and ladies. We had the pleasure of meeting recently with Ardent. We very highly rated their courses, and this is an absolute pleasure to work with them. So on that note, Niels, let's start. So I'm sure you've all sailed a little bit, and guess what? You can picture the following. So you're enjoying a beautiful day sailing, and suddenly another boat appears on the horizon. So what's going to happen? Suddenly you're adjusting your trim, you're eyeing the best course, and as a result, guess what? You're secretly racing. I would be very surprised if any of you haven't done this. I'm sure that as soon as you see another boat, you're comparing yourself. You're looking at how am I doing compared to that boat? You want to see whether your skills are good enough. So why is race training useful for all sailors is the big question. First of all and foremost is that there are some very seriously transferable skills. Racing will significantly improve your sail trim efficiency. When you do a competent crew course, I've just finished a day skipper course about competent crew, day skipper. If you think of how many times your instructor has talked about sail trim, they don't really go into much detail. So if you do a bit of race training, we're going to really focus on that. And you're going to actually it'll help you sail better, and therefore you'll save fuel and time on passage. And that is a very important skill to develop. So the other point that race training will bring to you is that when we race, we really have to understand the weather. And, a lot of people struggle with the weather. If you remember Michael Fish struggled with the weather when he announced to everybody on BBC that no storm was coming. And then the storm hit the UK, one of the strongest storms that ever hit us. Well, if we want to get better at weather, we have to go out and work with that. So you'll enhance weather routing and tactical decision making. Maybe it's for a short passage, like what you can see there on the slide. This is a routing for the round the island race, which this year is going to take place on the 7th of June. And I think we're going to actually have 1,900 participants this year. Or it could be something a bit different. It could be a long passage. Yeah, a passage that I've actually done from the Azores to Portugal, where very clearly understanding weather is fundamental to doing that passage safely and properly. And if you get it right, you're going to gain time. If you get it wrong, you could actually get yourself into trouble. The other thing that's going to happen is that you're going to boost boat handling in tight quarters, and that actually is going to sharpen your skill set, which will be very useful for when you handle boats in marinas. I am based in the Hamble and in Gosport, and in the Hamble we have a double high, which means that when the ebb flows, it is particularly fierce for people, especially on a spring tide, to go and park their boat. So actually getting used to crowded situations is going to help you cope with the stress of parking a boat. What that picture, by the way, is a boat ferry gliding because of the tide backwards into its berth. And you can see the angle already just on that photo, where the boat is probably at 45 degrees from how it should really be going in, because the tide is pushing it so hard. So this boat handling is absolutely crucial to all your skills. Racing will teach you quick thinking under pressure, and there is no better place to be quick thinking than in an emergency, such as in this case. You can see a photo of man overboard with someone trying a contraption to pick up the person. Whether that contraption works or not is another matter. But it's the quick thinking that is so important. Man overboard, you have seconds to react. You have seconds to bring these people back on board your boat, especially now when the water is still under 10 degrees and where people can suffer from cold water shock and severe hypothermia. So boat performance. If you do a bit of race training, you are going to start having a different notion of boat performance. You're going to really discover the true capacities and capabilities of your boat. Racing, we go and start using technologies that you might not use at competent crew day skipper level, but we can introduce these to you very quickly. Why? Because you'll understand them. Here, for instance, there's a picture of something called apolar. Yes, it is AI polars that are actually going to feed information about your boat and give real-time data to you, allowing you to sail your boat much better. You're going to learn to sail effectively on all points of sail, and there is no better place but to test that than on a race circuit, whether it's a long circuit or a short circuit, whether it's just round the cans or is it a coastal race or an offshore race. You will truly be trimming your sails non-stop. Just one session like that will change the way you're sailing, will improve the way you're sailing, will therefore improve the way you handle sails and protect your sails, because you're going to know how to actually look after those sails and put the sails in the right place, in the right position. Example here of two people that I sailed with trimming sails, and it's really important. You're going to understand how to optimize your current setup without expensive upgrades. So what does that mean? Better winching. If you think of the courses you've had, and that's by the way not the way to winch, but better winching is absolutely important. Having your body in the right position so that you can actually get all the power and not be exhausted is important. Thinking of things such as outer leads for when you sail downwind. If you're just sailing with a jib or a genoa, that's great. You don't need a spinnaker for everything, but put an outer lead as soon as you're going downwind, and it's going to change the angle of attack of your sail. That is automatically going to improve the ability of your boat. In haulers, You've all heard of in-haulers. They come in different guises and different names, but you can fit in-haulers very cheaply on boats, even on a cruising boat. It transforms the capabilities and the performance of your boat. So a very simple upgrade that you can do just using a couple of pulleys and a bit of line. So you're going to get more speed with the same equipment. That in the cruising world actually has big advantages. Two of them. First of all, it might allow you to outrun weather. Secondly, it means that you will be able to get to your destination either on time or early. For all of you who have been skippers, I'm sure you've experienced the fact that you one day sailed and you said to your crew you're going to get back at 5, and instead you got back at 7 or 8. The crews are not very thankful when that happens. On the other hand, if you actually manage to arrive an hour too early, they all appreciate that, and that you go to the pub or to whatever you want to go to and have a bit of fun together, and are able to enjoy that extra moment that you gain by being efficient sailing there. What you probably don't want to do is play with your performance in strange ways, as in that little photo. The other benefit is that you can create a community, be part of a community, find crew buddies, find people who are going to sail with you in future passages. People who do a bit of racing are often addicts of sailing, and love to share, love to do things and talk to other sailors, and love to come on board if you need someone, a pair of hands to help you safely go from one place to another. So this race community actually has a lot of positives. The friendly competition does actually add a bit of excitement. Not everybody will agree with that, and I actually absolutely understand that. But most people will have a little bit of a tingle. It doesn't have to be serious. A very good example of that, around the island, we will see 1,900 boats roughly this year, because it's a special year due to the 100th anniversary of Fastnet, and we've got more interest than regular years. And you're going to have everybody. You're going to have families. You're going to have grandparents. You're going to have young people, old people, and everybody's going to have a lot of fun. And we're all then going to meet up in the evening and have a good party. So yeah, the fun factor, short races provide concentrated sailing experiences. You are really going to focus on what you're doing. You're going to get better at sailing. And it's something, a lot of sailors who just cruise, they wallow into their sailing. They don't actually expand their knowledge sufficiently to really enjoy all the benefits of sailing. And I think that a little bit of racing will actually help you improve those points. It is clear that when you go racing, you'll get immediate feedback. You're either going to be at the back of the fleet or the front of the fleet, or you're going to be with the pack. You will know whether you got too much sail, whether you got not enough sail. And so that instant feedback is very precious, and we very rarely get that if we're simply cruising. And then, of course, racing does give you the opportunity to sail on some phenomenal boats. Here, those 3 boats, by the way, are 3 boats that are all Solent-based. One of them is obviously a trimaran. The one in the middle is a 60-foot FAR that used to be the nav tack on, and the one on the right is our boat 02, which is a 39-foot Mills design race prototype. So we have a little quiz, and a question to all of you. What do you think is the first thing you would adjust to go faster when the wind's picking up? It's all to do with sail trim, whether it's the backstay, whether it's the main sheet. It's sail trim that's actually going to come immediately and have to be played with. Now, you've just described a number of points that you have to use to do that sail trim. And again, if you do some sail race training, you're going to learn how to maximize the trim on all those points, whether it's the backstay, whether it's the halyard, whether it's the sheet, whether it's a bit of Cunningham, whether it's the outhaul, depending on the sails, or maybe in-haulers, etc. So really important. So here, if you look at useful race tactics for cruise that can be passed on to cruising, sail trim on one side. So there's an example yeah, but for simply a dinghy, but what happens on the dinghy also happens on a yacht, all the different ways how you can adjust a mainsail, and then of course good passage planning. Passage planning in racing is absolutely essential. It is often underutilized in simple cruising, and it makes such a difference if you get it right. If you pass a point against the tide, it might be a nightmare for your crew. If you get it right, especially if you're like in Scotland, going around the Mull of King Tar, going to Jura, you'll want to pass at the right time because otherwise you're going backwards. So at this point, I think if I'm not mistaken, Niels, you're going to share a story.
Unless anyone else, please raise your hand if you would like to share a story with the group, but also just talk about my experience. Like I said at the start of our call, I'm relatively new. I'm still considering myself a newbie when it comes to sailing. I started about 5 years ago, and I just recently did my Yachtmaster Coastal. And to me, the racing has done one thing first and foremost, and it's giving confidence. And just experiencing being part of a race crew and sailing under racing conditions with a crew and a skipper who really knows what he's doing, it's just a phenomenal experience. And as a result, when I go out sailing myself, I look very differently at the boat. I manage the crew very differently. I take a different course. I'm much more adventurous in a way in what I try with the boat and where I go and under which conditions. So I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic experience, whether it's just a day around the Cairns, whether it's around the island race on the Isle of Wight, for example, or any other single day or multi-day race. It's going to be a fantastic experience, and at least for me, it's done a huge amount for my sailing confidence. Just to be able to experience what a boat can actually handle under normal cruising conditions. I'd say you never push the boat as far as you do under racing conditions, and just experiencing that and seeing what the boat can actually do makes you think about sailing in a very different way. So I've done most of this while I was still training. I had just passed my day skipper, and I started joining a couple of races. So I hadn't even started my Yachtmaster course, and it has absolutely transformed the way I look at it. And as a result, I enjoy it a lot more. So if you ever get the opportunity, absolutely take it. I think it's fantastic, a fun and fantastic experience, and very good for your skills.
Thank you very much, Niels. So the key point is that racing here, what we're talking about, is not about leaving cruising behind. It's about, as Niels has pointed out, becoming a more confident, a more capable, a more connected cruiser. And that is going to be something that you are really going to enjoy. Your crew is going to enjoy it. You are going to enjoy it because suddenly you are at a different level. And every time we can improve our knowledge and skill sets, we just enjoy sailing even more. And even if even if you don't do an official race, just a bit of training is something that will always give you some benefits. We're just going to let you know a little bit what we do. Just in 2024, we started a brand new academy with our Mills 39. It's slightly different compared to any other school because we are a residential course provider. That means that we actually rent a house, and we have a team house where people live in. You don't live on a race yacht, because a race yacht is fun when you're racing, but it can be pretty stark when you're not racing. So during the course itself, we actually stay in that house, and we do the training in the house, and then we go racing on the weekend. So in 2025, we are doing a combination of things. We're doing race training and racing. We're doing some corporate days, and we're doing team coaching, because actually a yacht is one of the best places to do team coaching for a company who wants to develop the skills of a team, wants to let the team gel, or wants the team to gel more, learn how to interact better, because there is no more challenging and better environment than on a yacht to develop those skills. We then have corporate days. So we've got some coming up actually in May. Corporate days are great. As you can see, that big teams getting together, enjoying themselves, finding out about each other, and just simply learning a new experience on the water. And then it's the coaching. So the coaching, as I mentioned it briefly, is something that a client of mine actually, who I've been teaching to sail from scratch, suggested that I do, because I used to work in bigger companies when I was not a professional sailor, and between and I used to run them. I had 1,500 employees at one point when I was running 2 aluminium smelters, and that combined with my sailing knowledge has allowed us to develop a coaching program that helps teams develop and grow and get better together. So here are some of the points that we highlight when you are sailing on our boat. 02 is a very special. Although she's 2006, she's still very up to date. She still performs extremely well, and she allows you to be challenged in every shape and form and develop all those different skills, as you can see that, which include leadership, team building, decision making under pressure, risk management, and analytical skills. If you're racing a yacht where you have 10 people on board, you're going to learn how to communicate. And that's a typical example of the best communication on board, when everybody is having a nice snooze together after a hard days of racing. So it can be tough, but it also can be a lot of fun. And then on that note, gentlemen and ladies, please, if you have questions, if you think of questions, do fire them to Charlie. You can forward them to us. I will take the time to answer all of them. There are no stupid questions as far as I'm concerned. On the contrary, they're all good questions that help you expand your knowledge. So, most welcome to interact with us.
Thank you very much. Absolutely, as Thomas says, fire anything across and we'll send it to them. If you need any more info, we can also provide that as well. Well, thanks very much, Thomas. Thanks, Niels. It's been brilliant.
Okay, Charlie, when the house bears about 270 degrees.
Information to work out our distance from the lighthouse and use that.
We might be perfectly on track, but if we're not on time...
Have a look, I've got my phone here at the effects it has on our steering compass. So our echo sound is working, we can find a contour and follow it nicely into port.
Our left hand is pointing towards the centre of the lull.